Blog Talk Radio.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes? Start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys. Think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs. I wonder when we'll be rid of your life.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pink Atheist. We are live here at Skepticon 5, and we have an interesting show for you today. My co-hosts are also here. Jimmy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Set up in the lobby for Skepticon 5, going live here, looking at everyone walking down the hallway. This is excellent. Hey, this is Phil. We have to do a little improvising and pass around a microphone, but we are here at Skepticon 5. We're wrapping up. We're going to try to grab some speakers, some people walking by, and talk about how awesome Skepticon 5 is. So stay tuned for a fun-filled day. All right, we are still going to hang on and do Ed Cobbs. Ed should be on the line. Ed, are you there?
I am here.
All right, go ahead. Give us our Mars forecast.
Okay, the Mars forecast as of November 8th, and, of course, for those of you guys that are still on that Martian calendar, that's Sol 92 for you guys. High temperature at that time was 32 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of negative 101 degrees Fahrenheit. The air pressure continues to rise. Today it is 8.2 millibars. Winds are still out of the east, steady 4.5 miles per hour. Just something a little extra. For you people that are keeping stats, the record high on Mars as of September 28th is 44.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is the Martian weather report as it stands at this moment. Jimmy?
All right, thanks a lot, Ed. We're going to try to catch some of the people that are walking around and talking today. In fact, I think we have one that just walked up. We have Todd Stiefel here. Todd, how's the convention going for you?
Awesome.
I understand occasionally you do things with the free thought atheistic movement. What do you got going on?
Oh, boy. All sorts of stuff going on right now. I've been working a lot on the Leukemia Lymphoma Society project and trying to get teams all across the country and Canada organized to get out and do the walks. We're just wrapping up our first year. We had about 150 teams, and we've raised almost $400,000 so far. And
how much is the match?
Match is dollar for dollar up to if we hit $1 million.
So if $1 million is raised, there's $1 million match.
500,000.
Okay. And they've already raised 400.
We've raised 200 and matched 200. So, but it's cool.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of money raised. We've got a lot of teams formed, and we're getting really good feedback from people who said they enjoyed the event. It was a really social bonding experience.
Is there something you're going to sponsor in the future?
Yeah, we're gearing up for year 2 right now. I want to make it a tradition. I hope that we get every group in the country either organized with a walk locally or where they're not necessarily right near a walk, where they can do activities and do fundraisers and donate to the cause under their own time remotely.
For those who don't know, Todd Stiefel is the founder of the Stiefel Free Thought Foundation.
Correct.
Is that the right name?
Yes.
And
some people call it the Stiefel Free Thought Foundation, but that just sounds wrong.
They're just evil. And you help support the Reason Rally as well.
Yeah, my foundation was the primary sponsor.
Any word on if that's going to happen again in 4 years?
It might. It might. I would like to see it happen again. It's a very expensive, very time-consuming event. There's a lot of opportunity cost to it.
Lots of people.
Versus doing other things. I think we should do it again, although I would probably do it after the next election rather than before, because just from that night of the Reason Rally itself, watching the news, a lot of the news were about primaries that happened that week.
And not the rally.
And so it makes it harder to get a share of voice in the media when you're in an election year cycle.
Yeah, no, I was hoping, and maybe you were the same, that there were camera crews all over the mall recording this historic event, and it kind of got ignored.
Yeah, it was interesting. We got a fair bit of press beforehand, but we didn't get a lot of press during, which was kind of interesting, or immediately after. But some of that could have just been the fact that it was raining like hell and all that. But I'm not sure why we didn't get as much press as I anticipated. But
now, of course, we're at Skepticon 5 live, and people can hear the background noise. We got a speaker getting out and getting ready to load the next one. You've seen a bunch of speakers other than me, of course, who you slept through. Who was your favorite speaker?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Hammond's talk. That was really good. I
the little kid with the beer bottle and a cigar.
Yeah, having elementary school kids draw what a Christian looks like, what a non-Christian looks like, and the Christian drawing was this happy guy with a banana and a crucifix, which is it looks really happy, but it's kind of a creepy combination when you think about it. When you dig a little deeper into that, what are you going to do with that banana? Don't hurt me. And then, of course, the non-Christian had the booze bottle and the shovels and tattoos and tattoos that stuck off of the skin and was levitating tattoos, which is cool. And if atheists could do levitating tattoos, we could probably form our own successful religion. That would be a neat miracle.
So what's coming up for you or the Steeple Free Thought Foundation? What's the next event?
The next
Christmas break?
No, I'm working with the Clergy Project on something that we don't have a green light on yet. We've got to work out the details to make sure it's practical, so I don't want to go into detail yet. But if it happens, I think it'll be really game changer for them.
Now, am I able to use my psychic powers to guess what you're going to do? Would that be okay?
You're going to do a reading on me. I know you do a little reading.
But actually, I'm going to predict based on what I think should happen and what I know of you, without really knowing anything about what you're doing. Okay. You willing to play this little game?
You probably could figure it out.
Do you want me to try?
You probably could. So, do you need more background information?
No. I just got to guess. You can ignore me or tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, go for it.
I think that you're going to try to find a way to make funds available for people to leave and have a job so they can have an income stream, go around and give talks and make a living to help them bridge that gap between being a minister and being in the secular world.
See, on the right track, but you're not there.
Okay, that's all right.
Exactly.
So it's a big tease now. When are you going to announce? A couple weeks? A couple days?
I think it depends on how long it takes to implement it and if it's actually going to be practical.
Okay.
So I'm going to be on a board meeting call with them tomorrow and start discussing it and see if we can make it happen. But if it's something practical and we can actually get done, I think it'll be a game changer and can make that
I like it.
More sustainable line. And then So the hard thing about future things is my model is usually either I have an idea or I hear a good idea, and then I'll go to an organization and work with them, and I work at a strategic level and help provide funding with my foundation, and they'll do all the detailed work.
Right.
So a lot of times I don't want to talk about what I'm working on because it's with another organization and I don't want to spill their secret.
Sure.
So, but there's one it's a concept they brought to the American Humanist Association, which they liked and have been doing a ton of work on, which should be getting uncorked right at the beginning of January, which should be highly entertaining, and I think will bring in a little media spin because it involves politicians.
Can we have you come back either in late December or early January and launch this right after, because they're going to want the big launch news, but right after.
I think they're going to have, my guess is they're going to get some national media on their own for that one. But sure, I'll be happy to come back and talk about it.
Promote it some more?
Yeah, I've seen some of the work they've done on it, and it's looking really good, and it's going to be educational.
Well, I'm going to go to Preacher Amy here in a minute. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get her preaching to us?
Yeah, I'm good right now. I'm just having fun and don't want to hold you, but I'm happy to talk to you guys anytime.
Great. Thanks. Well, we just found out that Amy here, Amy, what's your last name? Caswell. Amy was an atheist until she heard the word of the preachers out on the street, and she got reconverted back to Christianity. And we're going to interview her or have her talk, and who's going to interview her here?
I will take care of that.
Take care of that.
Okay. So I'm not allowed to talk to the men without a chaperone.
I know, right?
To the,
it's that, yeah. That is so. So we have to be careful with those.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us about what you were doing out there?
Oh, well, the Mennonites were out there yesterday, and I argued with them back and forth, and that was fun. But
Always.
I've been doing that for a while now, arguing with Christians, and today I was just like, may I swear?
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
today I was like, fuck it, I'm going to join them. And so I just walked up, I said, guys, look, you convinced me, I am now a Christian. And my friend Liz borrowed this Bible. And we've been getting, it's our Skepticon Bible, we've been getting signatures and stuff. And I happen to have it with me.
Yeah.
So I decided to preach the good word along with them.
Awesome. And why don't you give us a little bit of a good word that you gave them? Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Here. What would you like to hear? I've got some things out here. It's been a while since I've been a Christian, so I don't remember everything.
Sure, no, I understand that. Go for it. Just whatever.
I've got the one about the curse on women if your husband is jealous of you. Would you like to hear that sermon?
Yeah.
I think you would benefit.
I would, definitely.
Excuse me. I've been out there for a while now, a couple hours, so.
Sure. Yeah, your voice is probably sore.
Very, very sore. Okay.
So the curse on women.
The curse on women, found in Numbers chapter 5, verse 14, starting on verse 14 if you want to read along with me. If the spirit of jealousy comes upon him and he becomes jealous of his wife, who has defiled herself, or if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him and he becomes jealous of his wife, although she has not defiled herself. So ladies, you don't have to actually do anything to have to be put through this. They just have to be suspicious of you.
That's always good.
It's important.
It's important in religion.
It's an important thing to remember that she has that power over you. You don't get to do anything if you're jealous.
Yeah.
Then the man shall bring his wife to the priest. He shall bring the offering required for her, 1/10 of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil on it and put no frankincense on it. I'm going to snip here because they talk a lot about sacrifices.
Okay.
I'm going to skip to Numbers chapter 5, verse 17. The priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle and put it into the water. Then the priest shall stand the woman before the Lord, uncover the woman's head, because your head must be covered.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'm okay. I'm covered because I'm wearing the tiara.
Yeah.
So that's.
I forgot my head.
So I'm not today.
Yeah.
Oh, are you a Christian woman too?
Oh, I was converted too by them. No, I'm not. I'm a well-outspoken atheist.
You need to listen to this then.
I do.
You really,
I'm a heathen at heart.
Jesus is speaking to me right now. I'm channeling him.
Awesome.
And he's saying that you need to come to Jesus, and you really need to listen to him.
I do, because, I'm a sinful woman, and this is bound to happen.
Your head isn't covered.
I know. Okay, so he
uncovered the woman's head and put the offering for remembering in her hand, which is the grain offering of jealousy, and the priest shall have in his hands the bitter water that brings a curse.
Some cursing, all right.
It is a curse, yes.
A little bit of magic.
Magic is okay if it's from God.
Oh, that's right. Okay, absolutely.
And the priest shall put her under oath and say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone astray to uncleanness while under your husband's authority, you're always under your husband's authority. If you do this and you're not married, it's perfectly fine, though.
Oh, okay.
So
there
don't be married.
Stipulations.
You can go astray as much as you want.
Okay. So, yeah. So all the single ladies out there.
All the single ladies. He brings him his bitter water that brings a curse. But if you have gone astray while under your husband's authority, and if you have defiled yourself and some man other than your husband has lain with you, then the priest shall put the woman under the oath of the curse, and he shall say to the woman, the Lord make you a curse and an oath among your people when the Lord makes your thigh rot. That's a euphemism for your vagina.
Oh, okay.
It's a dirty word. So they don't put it in the Bible.
Yeah, nobody needs to say
I'm going to have
vagina.
to ask for forgiveness later for saying the word vagina.
Yes.
Shit.
I've said it a few times in my life, and I'm not sure I can be forgiven that much.
When the Lord makes your thigh rot and your belly swell, and may this water that causes the curse go into your stomach and make your belly swell and your thigh rot. Then the woman shall say, amen, so be it.
Oh, so she's just like good to go.
Yeah,
all right.
Good.
Yeah.
It goes on a bit more about how bitter the water is, and it mentions the swelling again.
So maybe a little stagnant.
Making your water. Yeah, but that's the gist of that one.
Oh, and that's so heart reassuring for women.
It's very reassuring for women to know that your husband is in control, and he has a way to determine whether or not you fuck another man.
Because your vagina will rot out and your belly will swell up.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, if the curse water doesn't work, then you're off the hook until the next week when he's jealous again.
Well, as many times as it takes until that happens, right?
As many times as it takes.
Yeah. He's going to prove you one way or the other. And you have any other nice and beautiful verses from that lovely book?
I have 1 Timothy.
Oh, okay. And what's that one about?
It's about women, of course.
Oh.
As a woman, I'm really interested in what the Bible has to say about my kind.
And your duties as a woman who's property to your husband?
Yes. And see, the thing is, I'm not married, so right now I'm my father's property.
Okay. But you're looking forward to becoming somebody's property eventually?
Yes. I'm looking forward to that transfer of ownership.
And hopefully you'll go for a good price.
Just so everyone knows, in accordance with 1 Timothy, I'm only talking to the ladies right now. I'm not allowed to teach men.
No.
And this is why.
Yeah.
Let a woman learn in silence with all submission, and I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man, but to be in silence. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. That's important.
Yeah.
Creation.
We only exist as walking uteruses
yes.
for bearing children and our suspicious, jealous husbands who will curse us. Okay, good. Good stuff.
And Adam was not deceived, but the woman, being deceived, fell into transgression. And this is my favorite part, so listen closely, ladies. This will save you. Nevertheless, she will be saved in childbearing if they continue in the faith, love, and holiness with self-control.
Oh.
So, ladies, your uterus is a clown car.
And as many as you can get out of it, it's better.
Shooting babies out like one of those slides at the water park. Just
I like to call it like a Pez dispenser,
Dispenser, that's the one.
You just open up the little head and another one shoots out.
I'll bring that up at the next Bible study that I don't go to. I'll need to start a Bible study.
There you go.
I'm from Texas. I know one.
You could probably find one right next door. Okay. So thank you for joining us, Amy, and that's wonderful. Keep teaching the good word to all those women who might need some cursing.
I will. I will keep doing that.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, we're moving on. I'm going to now put on Christina, and she's going to tell you about all the cool stuff she's doing.
All right, so my name is Christina. All right, I've got the microphone. My name is Christina Stevens, also known as Zister, and I am one of JT's blog contributors. So if you read the What Would JT Do podcast, you will find me on there all the time. We're doing a new thing coming up. We're probably going to start taping in a few weeks. We are starting a What Would JT Do podcast. Yay! Probably the funniest thing about the What Would JT Do podcast is that JT is not going to be on every week. It's actually going to be mostly the blog contributors on, with JT on probably every other podcast as a guest host. Yes, so it's more like the What Would We Do podcast. But we've got a couple of things planned for that. We're going to have lots of cool guests on because JT, everybody loves him. And
hey, JT, we're talking about you right now.
And everybody wants to be on his podcast. Hey, come over here, JT. And we're going to do a segment called What Would JT Do, in which we will channel as prophets. We will be prophets of JT. We will channel JT and answer questions from atheists. So if you have any questions about anything, if you need advice about how to deal with your Christian parents, if you need advice on sexual positions with your wife, if you need advice on polyamory, you can call in and ask us questions, and we will answer your questions.
So who is the polyamory expert?
That would probably be me.
All right, I did not know that.
Oh, yes, I've been, my husband and I have been poly since as soon as we got together, as soon as we started dating.
Cool. And
now we are married, obviously, and we're still in an open relationship, so he's had a regular girlfriend since we've gotten married. Actually, their anniversary is a few weeks before our anniversary, and I don't really have a regular dude, but I've got dudes that come in and out.
And out and in. Is it always coming too soon?
And out and in, and might be coming too. That's usually not a problem.
Well, that's good to know. Now, other than the polyamory and JT, what else you got going on?
Personally,
Well, I don't know. What do you want to cover?
I don't know what I want to cover.
You got a book coming out?
I don't have a book coming out. I kind of need to have a book coming out.
What's a recent blog post that you did you want to talk about?
I did a post called How to Shove Atheism Down People's Throats in 10 Easy Steps that was really popular on JT's blog. That's one.
Give us a couple steps.
So step one, go after your children. If you are a parent and you want to shove atheism down your children's throats, then make sure that they are not exposed to anything theistic. Make sure that if you see them reading theistic materials or theistic books, that you reprimand them and you get them and you tell them that theists are immoral and that no theist is a member of your family. That's one way that you can shove atheism down people's throats. Another way you can shove atheism down people's throats is you can go after public buildings. You could write atheist mantras in stone and granite on the courthouses. That would be a good way to shove atheism down people's throats.
I'm starting to sense that there might be a little bit of satire in this piece.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of satire. Step 10 is that you could go door to door and you could proclaim the good news of atheism to your neighbors and your...
Is there anything about getting free money from the government?
Oh, yes, that's a good one. That's not a step that I had, but you could maybe get free money from the government.
That's like an 11-step program.
Yeah, that's step 11. Another good step is atheistness. So if you're a business and you're an atheist business, make sure during atheistness you play the same 20 atheistness songs over and over again for at least a month, preferably 2, so that people who come into your store have to listen to it.
And can your atheist restaurant give atheist discounts?
Oh, yeah, your atheist restaurant could totally give atheist discounts. That's kind of a sort of passive-aggressive way to shove atheism down people's throats, but it's still a good thing, because if people see the sign up there, 20% discount for atheists.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it'd be helpful, exactly. There are a lot of ways you can shove atheism down people's throats.
Fantastic.
Mostly what we're doing, and if you want to shove atheism down people's throats, is borrow from other groups' techniques, because they've got it down to science.
Do we have an atheist book?
Oh, yeah.
The
God Delusion.
You can only read that book?
Oh, yeah. Every home needs to have the God Delusion.
You know what we should do? Have someone make chapter and verse citations of the God Delusion.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
And then so we can quote those and just give the short code.
Right, yeah, we can say chapter 2, page 11, line 45 or whatever.
And we can name like the first chapter is of Genesis, it's Richard. And the second one is Dawkins, and then the third one's like love and peace, and then there's war and sin.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Something like that.
Dawkins.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get these fake names on it and mess around. We're going to really get it.
We can have God Delusion studies in schools. We do all sorts of things.
Anything else that you wanted to go over?
No, I can't really think of anything, actually. I mean, you could probably talk to me all day about atheism.
It is a good topic.
It is, in fact, a very good topic.
Hard to put that one away. Okay, well.
All right, Christina. Christina, thank you so much. We have Teresa McBain just strolled by, and she's about to give a talk. So we're going to throw her on just here for a minute. She's going to tell us a little bit about our story, and then we're going to go to Greg, because you've been so patient and waiting.
Oh, very excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Teresa, we are kind of working rogue here, and we have this little headset as our microphone. So what are you working on currently? What are you doing? Tell us about yourself.
I'm working at American Atheist right now, Public Relations Director. Of course, traveling the country, sharing my story to anybody who will listen or let me speak, and in the process of working on a book.
So if I understand this right, so you work at American Atheist, but a few months ago you were doing something different.
Yeah, I was pastoring a Methodist church about 7 months ago.
And where was this Methodist church?
In Tallahassee, Florida.
So Methodists aren't really this younger, kind of literal Bible people, are they?
It depends on which set of Methodists you get. In North Florida, they tend to follow along those lines, yeah.
And how is it that you changed your mind and started thinking that maybe that wasn't the right job for you?
Well, because I had lost my faith.
Well, that's a pretty good summary. A little more detail would be awesome. Did you read a book? Did someone hit you in the head? I mean, what happened?
I don't know. I think my mom dropped me on my head when I was a baby. Geez, this answer requires like 6 or 7 years worth of talks. I just started thinking early on, suppress those thoughts because that's not what you do when you're a Christian. Questions
Right.
and doubts are wrong. But eventually, those kinds of things don't remain silent. And so I started working through them in my head, thinking through them, talking them out. I did read plenty of books. Bart Ehrman, Richard Carrier, Dawkins, Dan Barker, you name it, pretty much I read it. Listen to podcasts. Listen to Matt Dillahunty on Atheist Experience.
And this is all while as a preacher.
Yeah, trying to figure things out. Yeah.
And you're just seeking wisdom and knowledge and input and other ideas to either confirm or destroy, apparently, what you thought.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought the whole time it would just confirm or would strengthen my faith, actually, make me a better Christian. But I guess about a year ago, it really began to dawn on me that that's not what was happening, that all this research, all this study, all this reading, all this thinking had already led me far away from my faith. Pretty much, I think about a year ago I figured I was an agnostic.
And this was, you were involved with the Clergy Project, was that right? And you were on there and anonymous and you were asking questions. And tell us how that worked and if that helped you.
Yeah, it did. It was an anonymous, it still is an anonymous online forum, kind of a support group for pastors who were like myself, and even ones who are like me now, who are former pastors. But yeah, I got involved. Dan Barker introduced me to it. I logged on every day and just tried to talk to people who were struggling with the same things I was struggling with. They'd give me support and vice versa. It's really, really an awesome thing. And I think probably I wouldn't have been able to come out had I not had the support of those clergy persons that are on.
Did they help you just emotionally, or did they help you find a job? What was the benefit specifically?
Yeah, it was more the emotional part. I mean, we really don't know who each other is. We have our fake names, our anonymous email addresses. We don't give out too many details because even in that space that's supposedly safe, you never know. People can break in on sites. They can infiltrate. I sound like a conspiracy nut, but,
right.
Reality is reality in a lot of things.
So how did the family handle this? Spouse, kids?
The spouse is still a believer, but he's okay with it. He knew something was happening. My sons, one is an atheist, one is somewhere between a deist and an agnostic, or who knows, I don't know. He doesn't even really care. So they're really okay with it. They've never been disrespectful or walked away from me or anything. I've had other family members that have said, you're not welcome in our home. You can't be around our kids. I don't know what I'm going to do with their kids, but,
Yeah, Christians seem to be really twitchy about losing the kids because apparently religion is so weak that just talking to an atheist can freak them out. And I know you've got to go to another interview and then your talk, so we're going to wrap up real quick. But is there anything else that you've got coming up, anything you're working on, maybe the Atheist Convention, if nothing else? What's coming up that's really exciting?
Oh, my goodness. I'm kind of off through the holidays, which is nice. I've been traveling a lot over the last 6 or 7 months. The American Atheist Convention is coming up. I am working on a book right now with a publisher, so however long that takes, it always takes longer than you want it to, but that'll be coming around next year at some point.
Do you have a target date?
No, not yet.
It's still working hard. Do you have a title?
Not that I can say.
Oh, my goodness. It might change, or you just...
No, goodness gracious. No, I don't know, actually. I pitched a couple and got shot down, so there you go. Now you made me say it. They don't like my ideas.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and we're going to move on. I'm going to hand this off, and thank you so much, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, we got some more friends here with another podcast, Dogma Debate. Hi, guys. How are y'all doing? Good. Pretty good. How's it going? Great. All right, tell me what kind of podcast do y'all have?
It is a political and religious-based debate forum where we actually show a lot of respect to people that we disagree with. So
All right.
we give the believers an opportunity to come on, tell us why they believe, why we should believe, and then we rationally tell them why they're wrong.
And what are y'all doing here at Skepticon?
Being skeptical.
Being atheist, being social. All right, great. And I understand y'all have another friend with y'all here.
Yeah, this is Aaron from evolvefish.com. They're our sponsor.
Hey, guys.
So what you can actually do is go to evolvefish.com. Any products that you buy, you can enter Dogma Debate as your promo code, all one word. And that Dogma Debate promo code will get you 10% off all your purchases because Evolve Fish is our buddy.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Evolve Fish was started about 20 years ago by Gary Betchen. And since then, a couple months ago, me and my girlfriend Ashley, we moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we're based, set up a partnership with our friend David Smalley here at Dogma Debate, and it's been going great ever since. Products have been rolling out the door, merchandise is selling at Skepticon, and it's great. Great to be a part of it.
How did y'all do at Skepticon on the sales? I want to know. Not a number, but
this is my second ever convention. My first was up in Denver, personally. But if I was to give an estimate, I would say we're doing pretty well. I'd say 2/3 of our merchandise, in terms of the bigger things, are gone, and people are loving the merchandise. It's selling great. People are loving the ideas. It's great seeing people walk by and just give big smiles and laughs and everything. So, really enjoying it. Yeah.
All right. Anything else y'all got going on?
North Texas Secular Convention.
The North Texas Secular Convention is a convention in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, funded by the Secular Student Alliance and the Dallas-Fort Worth Coalition of Reason. It's a secular convention, much like Skepticon, much like the American Atheist Convention. We have a lineup of speakers, including our own David Smalley here from Dogma Debate, including Beth Presswood, Matt Delahanty, David Fitzgerald, and also, seeing as I am also from Dogma Debate, at the convention we'll be doing a live broadcast of Dogma Debate at the convention.
Excellent. And it seems to be working out really well for us. I wish you luck with that.
Yeah, and if I may just talk about pimping the convention, is that you can go to ntxsecularcon.com, and tickets there are $25 for general admission, but if you are an SSA member, it's free, and you can also get a free SSA membership at secularstudents.org.
Excellent.
Nice. All right, thanks a lot for having us.
All right. Let's move on to someone else.
Here you go, Greg. You're up. Let's say something.
All right. So my name is Greg Perrine. I am 1/3 of the Skeptic Wire podcast.
Yay.
And 1/2 of the Craft Tea Nation. That's Craft Tea Nation musical duo made up of 2/3 of the Skeptic Wire podcast. All right. So we are a combination. So we combine doing the general discussion podcast of the Skeptic Wire, where we talk about the news of the day. The way I describe it to people I meet at conventions is it's skeptics in the pub without the pub. You're listening to friends talk about what interests them that week. Maybe it's a science story or 3 science stories or some religion story or just some cultural thing going on, like we talked about the election a couple weeks ago, even though that's not typically a skeptical topic or a religious topic. Talk about the ballot measures and how that affects everybody. So that's a lot of fun. And since 2 of the 3 of us are musical, we've started something this year, the monthly song challenge, where we think up a theme or some other challenge to each other as musicians to write a new song once every month and a half on a topic. So that includes songs about miracles, songs about drinking. The last one involved using the keywords of Alfred Hitchcock, United Nations Day, and the scientific term splanchnocrinium, which is the facial bones. So that's always a fun thing.
Oh, but they'll rate this.
Yeah, we now have on screen at Skepticon a almost naked picture of Daryl Ray, a la the Adam pointing his finger at God kind of thing, with an artistically placed digital fig leaf. It's hard to tell from this distance if the fig leaf is a little small. I can't tell if he photoshopped his head onto another body or if that really is his body. Just go look up the videos on Skepticon and you'll figure it out. So now I'll get back to pimping my own podcast because that's really what I'm here for. So the podcast is all about making each other laugh and then also bringing some music to the crowd. And I like the idea of, what's the podcast again? Skeptic Wire. So the Skeptic Wire podcast is Skeptic Wiry.
and wires the skepticism to you. I'm just keep repeating this until it's an earworm in your head that the Skeptic Wire and the Pink Atheist, fine, are the most awesome podcasts out there. So give us a listen. There's so many podcasts out there, as you know, Phil, starting a new podcast. There's so much out there. There's something for everybody. So, and we can all help each other. Phil and I can help each other with our podcasts. We've been friends for a couple of years. And with the musical thing, my podcaster friend Gary and I, we do the songs on our show, but we can challenge other skeptical songwriters like George Robb or Shelley Siegel to write songs in our themes, do it on their own shows, do it on stage, but if they mention we were challenged to do this by this group, that helps everybody. And more music, like you said in your talk, Phil, means that you're communicating science and skepticism to more people, and that helps everybody. So even if maybe you prefer rap music and you want to just stick with Braden Square, or maybe you like folk music, which means you like my stuff, which is more bluegrassy and folky, or you like progressive rock, which is more George Robb. There's something for everybody, and that's the benefit of this bigger and bigger movement that we're all a part of, one big happy family.
Great, Greg. Thank you so much for coming.
Skeptic Wire Podcast. Skeptic Wire Podcast. Skeptic Wire Podcast. He's going to make me take the microphone away from him. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. And now I am so distracted out here. There's so much going on. I have Maria next, and I've asked her 4 times what her last name is, and I can't remember. So, Maria.
Marbach. No,
Marbach.
Like gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Well, if we keep saying it, the listeners will remember Marbach. And you're making candies?
I am making candies.
Tell me about those.
I'm making skeptic and atheist-friendly chocolates.
And where can I get these?
ApplepheniaCandies.com.
Applephenia.
Apple, ApplePhenia. Apophenia is a word that's like pareidolia, but with apophenia, you actually make some sort of religious association with that symbol. It's like...
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
That is very clever. That's so clever it hurts. And what kind of candies are you making?
Well, right now, we just have the milk chocolate from my supplier, who has been using the same recipe for over 100 years. So it's...
And are these special shapes or?
Yes. Right now we have the Dawkins A. We have a comfort of Croco Ducks, if you will. That would be a group of chocolate Croco Ducks. A flock of Pegasus. And we also have the Evolved Fish. Now next year I'm going to be introducing Randy candies.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, a bust of James Randi.
And does it magically change flavor?
No. Although that's a good concept.
Yeah, just won 5%. You'll still 5% of your profits.
Well, 20% of those profits are going for the JREP anyway. So.
Oh, tell me about that.
I haven't formally done anything with it.
Well, then some of the money will go to the JREP. We'll just say it.
Yeah, some of the money will go to the JREP because James Randi is a personal hero of mine, and I'm fortunate enough to call him a personal friend.
So not only are you making wonderful candies, but you're helping the movement by donating part of the proceeds.
Not only that, but I'm also the volunteer managing editor for the blog onrandy.org.
What's the name of that blog?
It doesn't have a name. It's just the blog on randy.org. You type in randy.org and the blog's right there.
Fantastic. Now tell me again where they get the candies, because our listeners are going to buy it.
ApplepheniaCandies.com.
Great. Anything else, Maria, you want to tell us about?
Yeah, go to ApplepheniaCandies.com.
I love shameless promotion. Maria, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, fantastic crowd here. The booth is kind of, the speakers going like crazy. This has been 2.5 days. I'm so sleep deprived I can't hardly take it. And now we have Deborah, right? Deborah Hyde. And she gave a talk on werewolves just today, which I was running around like a madman, so I missed. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to get it on video, but it just popped into my head. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is about a person who changes, and werewolves are about people that change into werewolves. Is that what the talk was about?
I know it's a bad joke, isn't it? And the thing is that it is my real name as well. It's not like I had contrived it at all.
And I just noticed it popped in my head. You went out into the rain for some crazy reason. You came back with this big black coat on that's draped down to your feet, and you looked like you were ready to go out and walk on the moor. So it's even more perfect for the Jekyll and Hyde story. But tell us about the werewolves.
Well, I was talking about werewolves today. Sometimes I talk about vampires. Sometimes I talk about the occult. Basically, I'm very attracted to the malign, the supernatural. I leave all of the gods and the angels and the nice stuff to other people. I'm interested in the werewolves, the vampires, the nasty stuff, because really it's as typical of our psychology as the good stuff is too. I think we can get an awful lot of insight into how human beings function naturally by examining religion, and also how we can get an idea of how they function naturally by looking at all of the folkloric tropes that there are out there and the fears that people have.
So you said you also talk about vampires. So are they real?
Oh yeah.
Where do I find one?
The vampire folklore, as we know it, came out of Eastern Europe in the 1730s-ish, and that doesn't mean that they were invented then. It just means the Austrian Empire gained some ground at that time. So they started looking after people who previously had been administrated by the Turkish Empire, and these people were doing some pretty funky things, including digging people up and staking them and performing rituals if there was epidemic death in the area. So as a result, of course, this is perfect lurid stories. It's as appealing for entertainment then as it is now. So it was, this kind of stuff was the subject of pamphlets at book fairs and things like that. So it kind of just erupted onto Western consciousness at that time, and then gave rise towards romantically related novels and that kind of stuff.
Well, that is truly fantastic. Our listeners may know she has the teeniest little bit of an accent. Tell us about where you're from and what you do there.
I'm from London, so that is the regional speech impediment with which I speak. I spend a bit of time in the States. I have to come over for business from time to time, but I am London-based.
And you write stuff over there, or you're in a magazine? What's that all about?
I edit the Skeptic magazine, and that's a quarterly magazine. We have a UK version over there. I know you have an American version here too. So that's quarterly, and I'm involved with Soho Skeptics, and we organise talks in pubs and that kind of stuff over there in London. And I blog at Jourdemaine. That's my website, jourdemaine.com.
Can you spell that for me?
That's JOURDEMAYNE. And that's about the malign, supernatural, and whatever else I fancy butchering on about.
Yeah, this Skeptic magazine, is that online, or is it just something you can get in print?
You can subscribe and you can get it in print, but we're working on getting a digital version because I think we would probably triple our circulation overnight if we did that.
Would.
Yeah.
So how do I order one? What is there a website I can go to sign up?
It's skeptic.org.uk, and there will be a subscription form on there.
Great. Before we go to anybody else, is there a book coming out or anything else you want to promote? Next place you're giving a talk, something like that?
The next place I'm giving a talk, I think, is at Goldsmiths University in South London at the beginning of December. I am writing a book, but it's too early to have crystallized yet.
So you don't have a date?
No, I don't. But do keep an eye on the...
Do you have a title?
Oh, Unnatural Predators.
Ooh.
Yes, natural predators are the lions, the wolves, except wolves don't actually eat people, but lions and things like that. Unnatural predators are their supernatural counterparts. So that's what the book will be called. And I'm working on it whenever I get free time. So keep up to date with the website because I do blog regularly.
Can you send the Pink Atheist information when that book is ready to print, and we'll talk about it and put it on the air?
Oh, certainly, yeah. We'd absolutely love to. Thank you.
Great. Anything else we can talk about that you got in mind?
Well, just that I have really, really enjoyed Skepticon. I've been around the skeptic scene in the UK for a long time. I travel a lot. I speak about twice a month. I go to conventions there. I do podcasts there. I do podcasts on the website, actually. But this is my first time in the skeptical community stateside, and it's been an absolutely wonderful experience. A group of wonderful people, and it's just been incredible fun. Thank you so much, Skeptical, for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
And we're going to move on now. I see JT is walking over here, and Rachel is dying to talk to him. So I'm going to hand off to Rachel, and she's going to talk to JT.
Okay. Okay. So JT.
Like making out. I just got engaged. I'll be in trouble.
Okay. So why don't you tell us who you are?
closer. No, you should be fine. So why don't you tell us about you?
My name is JT Everhart. I write the blog What Would JT Do? I'm a public speaker. I enjoy walks on the beach, and my favorite color is green.
Awesome.
Also, I'm a Leo.
Oh, wow. Okay, so...
Now, I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it on my blog, so tell me about you.
I have a blog called The Godless Vagina. I actually started this.
You are good at marketing.
Yeah, so...
There's a lot of those around.
But I started the Pink Atheist just a couple months ago because people who were reading my blog, were kind of ushering me on. They wanted to see me go further and start this, so I did it kind of nerve-wrackingly. The first 2 episodes are on YouTube, and they're horrendous. It's just me talking for 30 minutes. So my co-host actually helped me set up the rest of it, and they've stayed on and been great help. But I want to... Yeah. I want to talk about Skepticon. I hear that you have something to do with that.
Not anymore. Skepticon 5 is a huge success, and it's all the organizing team. Jeffrey Marcus, Michael Weiss, Lauren Lane, Katie Hartman. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant crew. Couldn't have picked a better crew to hand my baby off to. I could be very, very worried about it, as you are with any project that's important to you, and they make it very easy for me to keep it.
Yeah. But this was your baby.
Yeah, I was one of the co-founders 5 years ago, along with Lauren Lane. I was the lead organizer for the first 3. And it was fun. It was something to do in college. We did okay with it. It turned out all right,
Yeah, it's actually amazing. And one of the things that we were just talking about is the fact that you can just walk around with the speakers, talk to them.
At a lot of conferences you go to, there's a green room where the speakers can go and hide. And not every speaker will do that. Some speakers are very egalitarian, and they want to come out and hang out with everybody, but not every atheist, quote-unquote, celebrity is that way. If you speak at Skepticon, there's a few things you pretty much have to agree to. One, you don't get an honorarium. You speak for free. And that's because no one is here at Skepticon to profit. This is all about the movement. So if Richard Dawkins wants $20 to speak here, well, you shit out of luck. Sorry. And that's just the way it is. No one profits off of this. The crew donates the time, other people donate the money, and then anyone who wants to walk in the door walks in the door. Religious, atheist, doesn't matter. No green room. The speakers sit in the audience with everyone else. You watch the Twitter feed, and people are like, oh, my God, I'm 3 seats down from P.Z. Myers. I'm 2 seats down from Rebecca Watson. Oh, my God. And that's magic. That inspires people. Sometimes it's not just the ideas you talk about on stage to get people to go out and be activists or change people's minds. It's just letting them be around you and feel like there's no class distinction where the speakers are the leaders and they're the followers, but that we're all part of the same movement. The speakers have a different role, but we're all equal cogs in this machine. That's important. And you just walk up to the speakers at any time. Just walk up to P.Z. Myers and say hi. We focus on getting speakers. Well, I say we. It's not my gig anymore. But Skepticon has always focused on getting speakers who are interested in hanging out with people, who don't want to just speak and hide. And I think that's great for the community. I'd love to see more of those speakers getting gigs.
Yeah, and that's one of the great parts of this whole convention is that the feeling of community is there.
Well, this is your first time here, so
this is my first time here.
So if you're getting that, you can be my barometer. I'm glad it's working out still.
It is. Walking in, I didn't know a lot of these people. Phil and Jimmy actually have more time in the atheist community than I do.
Have you noticed it's super easy here to make friends?
It is. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's got a real Woodstocky kind of feel to it. You just walk up to someone and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go. You want to come with me? It's just the easiest place to make friends. And you might even get somebody like dragging you to lunch.
Yeah.
If you're a wallflower here, people are pulling you off the wall.
And that's what's been great about it. It's absolutely a wonderful community. And I think that you've done a great job by setting the standard.
Well, like I said, it's all the team right now. They've kept it alive and done great with it.
Yeah, and so you said that you've gone on to do a few other things since Skepticon has been handed off.
Yeah, in January of 2011, I joined the Secular Student Alliance as their high school organizer, and I built their high school program. I left them about 2 months ago, and that my job got handed off to Andy Cheadle, who's doing wonderful with it. Now I'm a full-time writer, full-time speaker, and have somehow managed to base people that read and enjoy hearing me talk about stuff. I'm still don't know why, but I'm insanely grateful.
No, I can imagine you do a good job. This is all wonderful. So
it's a good time.
And so, anything coming up that you want to tell the audience about?
I got engaged Friday night. That's all I can think about. Did you not know about that?
Well, you were just mentioning that a few seconds ago.
At the end of my talk, I proposed to my girlfriend, and she had a wonderfully compassionate lapse of judgment and said yes.
Well, at least it was a yes and not a no.
Well, I think she nodded. She was crying so much. I don't think she could have gotten the yes out. Oh, we're terrible. Anything coming up? My speaking schedule in the spring is full. I'll be appearing at the North Texas Secular Student Convention at Reason Fest 2, the American Atheist National Convention, the Madison Free Thought Festival 2. So really full schedule, a lot of venues I love. I can't say enough good things about American Atheist. Their conference is fantastic. Their organization is great. And if you can get down to the American Atheist Conference, I really recommend it. It's wonderful. Other than that, I just read my blog. I enjoy the hell out of it. Now, I've been on a lot of podcasts, and the questions are always the same. How's your book coming? How did you get into atheism? Yada, yada, yada. Ask me something interesting. What I'm afraid of, favorite sexual position.
I can do that.
Of course you can do that.
Yeah. So tell me the weirdest thing you've ever done.
The weirdest thing I've ever done. I got arrested for fishing for cops.
Fishing for cops.
Fishing for cops. A friend of mine took a fishing pole and a donut out one night in our little podunk hometown in Arkansas. And every time the night cop drove by, we'd hold the donut out in front of him. And after about 3 times of that, he'd had enough. Arrested us. Didn't call our parents. Stuck us in a holding tank for a couple hours and let us go.
How scary was that?
When you're young, you don't really think about consequences so much, or at least I didn't. But there was certainly a large amount of relief when he let us go without calling mom and dad.
Yeah, I would have never imagined fishing for cops with a donut on a fishing pole. Okay.
But yeah, I'll tell you something. Some other speakers doing an interview like this would never ever tell that story. Like, my reputation. I want my reputation to be as a human being who enjoys life and who has made mistakes and who has done crazy things like that and at least had those experiences. And I don't regret any of it for a second.
Yeah, and I think that that's the great thing about being an atheist. No guilt, right?
No guilt. Yeah, I think as far as
sitting,
I think guilt is like pain. It helps us to heal and to become aware when things are wrong with us. But I think most human beings feel way too much of it, and it's like a sack of bricks.
Yeah, it is like a sack of bricks, and it's one that's great to be free from.
Hang on. Hold the
Okay.
What editing is for?
Oh, well, we're live, so there's no editing. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me
Keep hugging and kissing. Hold on, guys.
Let me throw a plug then for my contributors. Sitting right beside me is Christina Stevens. She writes all of the highly researched science-type blogs for my blog. We also have Anne, the legal columnist, Stephen, who does humor, and also a weekly column on atheists people need to know more about, which you'll undoubtedly be a part of if I have any say in it. And Dr. David Berger, my old friend, and my now fiancé, Michael, and Whenever We're on Adventures will contribute.
That would be wonderful.
I have the most amazing team in the blogging business. I'll put them up on any other site.
Yeah. Wow. That's a wonderful plug.
Maybe not the Pink Atheist.
That's okay. We're not about the competition, so. But anyhow, thank you for coming on with us. It was great to have you here.
One more.
One more interesting question.
Really unstandard.
Unstandard.
This will be online, recorded later. I can put it on my blog, right?
Oh, this is, later.
Live stream.
Nope. We do have a link that later you can download. You can go to YouTube. We're on there as well.
Ask something interesting. Something completely unorthodox.
What is the wildest thing you want to do?
Wildest thing I want to do? I'm not sure if I can say that on live radio. The wildest thing I want to do? Yeah, that's a good one. This is going to be so...
and it can be brutally honest, and it can be...
if you read my work, you know brutally honest. I'm serious. I think... I don't think you need a God telling you to be honest. You just need to realize that life is easier not having to remember what lies you've told.
That's true. Very true.
Honestly, and this is going to be so gooey, and I'm going to feel so lame for saying this, but the wildest thing I want to do right now is marry my fiancé.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's sweet, actually. I was thinking mountains, climbing, jumping off of something.
My reputation is as the angry atheist. This is going to work completely against it.
You're going to have to rebuild that anger.
I know. You're killing my rep here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you, Todd.
JT,
I'm so sorry. I've talked to so many people this
fine. Phil's got my email. Email me the link, and I'll certainly send you guys the track.
Okay, thank you.
Phil, thanks a lot.
All right, so we're headed off to Jimmy's.
All right, we got Gordon here. Gordon's been hanging out at the Secular Student Alliance booth the entire weekend. How's it been going?
It's been going pretty fantastic. There are a lot of students here.
And tell me, what is your capacity with the Secular Student Alliance?
I'm the regional campus organizer for the southeastern region of the country. So basically, I am the primary organizer for the 100-odd student groups throughout Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Florida.
And I saw you speak in Alabama and Montgomery last month. Very good talk you did there.
I really enjoyed it. I am loving all these little regional conferences that are popping up and bringing people together. The networking is fantastic. There's been the Alabama Free Thought Conference with its first conference, the Kentucky Free Thought Conference with its first, and Region in the Rock as well. There's a bunch of them popping up.
Excellent. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you got coming up?
I'm currently working on starting up the regionalization program for the Secular Student Alliance, in which we're putting basically volunteers on the ground to help keep our student groups connected with our national organization. We're hoping this will help keep the groups as strong as possible and keep them well connected with the movement as a whole.
This is Phil. We're just talking about the SSA. I know. Did you mention the match?
Oh, right. There's a match for the end of the year for donation dollar for dollar up until, I believe, the end of December.
How much money is involved here?
I believe this one's there's 25 or 50. I've actually gone blank on it.
Yeah. I know one of the new things for the SSA is high school groups.
Oh, yes. The high school groups are growing rapidly. I know we have over 60 right now, and they're growing very, very quickly.
That's fantastic. Is there anything else that you specifically want to promote or tell us about the SSA?
Well, specifically, we're just doing some awesome work, and it's growing massively, but we need support. Any support that you can give us, either helping out your student group, donating to SSA on the website, anything is super appreciated. We are growing fast, and we are really changing the future. It's going to be fantastic.
And then that match thing again we're going to talk about. Anything donated, SSA is going to match dollar for dollar?
We have a donor that's going to donate. That's going to match dollar for dollar until the end of the year.
Excellent. All right, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Bye.
Hey, this is Phil again. I have now Sarah Tweedle, and she is in the Branson, Freethinkers?
Branson Freethinkers, yep.
And you guys are doing great stuff down there. I understand you were helping poor. Is that what you were doing?
Well, on Valentine's Day, there's a local group for 3 months out of the year. If you're not familiar with Branson, Missouri, it's a big show town, but it's also very seasonal and shuts down in the winter. So there's a lot of families that don't have work in the winter, and they do a program called Loaves and Fishes. It's 3 months out of the year.
Now, Loaves and Fishes, that sounds kind of biblical.
It is secular-ish, one of the more secular-ish groups that are in town. But in the Bible Belt, for a lot of us, some of the more religious organizations are the better organized and have better funds and have things set up already for us to join in and help out with. As a group in our earlier stages, we're only about 2 years old. But with Loaves and Fishes, for 3 months out of the year, they provide meals every day, and they ask different organizations to come in and pick a day and sponsor the meal for that specific day. Well, no one wanted to pick Valentine's Day, so we ended up choosing Valentine's Day. We raised $1,000 in about a month from all of our friends going around, and the Springfield group helped out a lot with financial funds. We put a wonderful meal together. We cooked all day. We served it. We had heart-shaped cupcakes and cookies and music playing, and we had just a really great experience, and we're really looking forward to doing it again next year.
So this is a group of freethinkers, mostly atheists, who spent their time and money to feed people that were hungry.
On Valentine's Day. And a lot of us were there with our partners, and it was one of the most beautiful Valentine's days that we could have spent with our partner, doing something good and showing love to the rest of the community.
Now, tell me a little bit about Skepticon. I know this is not your first time here. What do you like about it?
Oh, my gosh. I love Skepticon. I look forward every year to coming to Skepticon. This is my third one, personally. And for me, very much surrounded by believers, very much surrounded by the indoctrination.
Not at Skepticon.
Not at Skepticon, no, but in my everyday life. So to come here and kind of refuel up on being with like-minded people gets me through the rest of the year.
And it's just, you learn so much about we learned about werewolves today. How cool was that?
Well, we just talked to Deborah Hyde, which I couldn't get over the irony of her name.
She's
Deborah Hyde.
beautiful. I could listen to her talk all day.
Yes,
Her and James Croft.
And what other speakers did you like?
I love James Croft. I sat there and watched and thought he's the Doctor. He's Doctor Who. He's here right now. That's what I thought.
He does look kind of like that.
I was waiting for him to pull out his sonic screwdriver and talk more about building our groups. But no, I loved Jessica Alquist yesterday, actually. I was really looking forward to hearing her speak, and I got a little emotional listening to her, actually, because I've seen so many great speakers, and they're polished, and they're grown up, and they're experienced, and they're very comfortable in who they are. Not to say that Jessica wasn't, but I think for a lot of us who've never met her before, we had this idea of her, and when I actually saw her, I just realized that she's a regular 17-year-old girl that just wanted to do regular 17-year-old girl things and got thrown into this whirlwind. And the fact that she stood up when other kids probably wouldn't have done the same thing, it was just so inspiring and so beautiful to see such a strong young woman.
Well, I know she does a great job and very impressive, and we just had someone walk up. Tell us who just joined us.
Well, a very special woman, actually. This is my lovely mother, Patty. She's the co-founder and right now currently the vice president of Branson Freethinkers. Hey, Mom. Hi, honey.
She was just telling us about the Valentine's feeding program. Loaves
and Fishes. Our Branson Freethinkers sponsored a day of the 3-month Loaves and Fishes project.
Is there another activity that your group has done?
Yeah, we did for the Taney County Women's Crisis Center. We refurbished one of their cabins. They have safe houses in the county, and one of them was in dire need of repair. So they're all in dire need.
A safe house, is this a place where a woman kind of goes to hide away from the man that's kind of not being nice?
Yes, they have. They can stay there for 90 days, and we were able to put an entirely new roof on it. We did the entire inside. The entire carpet was only 400 square feet. They're not real big, but we were able to do that as a group.
This is the kind of stuff that touches my heart, and we've got groups of people who are supposedly evil, that they're non-believers, they're free thinkers, but yet you're working with a religious group to feed people. You're working on your own to make a safe place for women who have needs. And that's just fantastic. What else is the group doing?
Well, if I can chime in real quick, one thing they mentioned with the Women's Crisis Center also was that it's not just women. There have been a handful of men leaving abusive relationships also.
Okay.
And I think some people forget that there are men that end up in bad situations too.
Yeah, but our goal, it keeps evolving. We're only 2 years old. But what we're starting to realize is that it's time to put a name to the people who are doing these things in the community, so that the Branson Freethinkers are becoming more of a accepted, to some degree, group within our community.
That is fantastic. And how can people reach you and learn more about this group in case they're in the area and want to come by?
We have meetup.com. Yeah, meetup.com/Branson Freethinkers, and then, of course, our Facebook page is Branson Freethinkers.
But we have 2 Facebook pages. We have one Facebook page that's open to the public. We also have a private Facebook page that you have to ask to join for fear of outing people in our group that don't want to be outed and trying to weed through trolls and things like that.
We do also in Branson. We have a lot of show people.
In Branson.
Sometimes it's hard for me to even recognize. I'm not that much farther north in Champaign, Illinois, but it makes a huge difference where you guys are located. I remember just not too far from you guys, a couple hours west, there is a Super 8 that has a Jesus fish on the carport. It's about 8 feet long.
Oh, they're all over now.
Yeah, and you got the plumbers with the Bible quotes on the side of the van.
Oh, yeah, all over the place. I had to pass a sign last year, the last time I voted, that said, pray before you vote, in front of my polling station. And so it's everywhere.
When we went to vote on Tuesday, there were only 4 campaign signs up. All Republican. One was Todd Aiken, of course.
Who lost?
And we got to vote against him. Take that, you crazy son of a gun.
And I did notice that Michelle Bachmann kept her seat, and some people were very upset about that. I'm pretty sure she did, but we can double check. But I'm delighted if she does because she can be the face of crazy.
Yeah.
And she will not be quiet. She will double down, and she will go out there and show the people what the Tea Party is. And
There's
hopefully,
so many.
yeah, there are, but they didn't do so well this election. So hopefully the younger generation coming up and voting, and someone like Michelle Bachmann being in the news. We know how well Sarah Palin took off. You know, she was very hot for a while, but suddenly they realized she's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, we diverge.
Yeah. Well, talking about voting, I'm 24, and I'm proud to say that I'm part of the younger generation that's coming up and helping put smarter, more rational people in office.
Turning the country blue.
And I think that there are a handful of us, and I get a little discouraged in my tiny little red town, but I think there's enough of us out there that will start making a bigger impact.
Well, we're pretty scrappy. I think we'd be bored to death if we lived in Portland, Oregon, or San Francisco. You know. We have a job to do here, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah, I am personally in 2 shows in Branson, so I have to.
What shows are you in?
My dad and I have a show together. It's called The Tweed Show, like father, like daughter.
Tweedshow.com.
Like us on Facebook. The other show, it's not my show, so it's not my place to talk about it. So if you want to Facebook me or talk about things like that, Sarah Equality Tweedle on Facebook. But the Tweed Show is, we were actually voted best show this year in Branson. We were very excited.
And you're talking to female vocalist of the year, and her father is the male vocalist of the year.
Oh, well, I'm actually blushing, folks. You can't see this over the podcast. But I knew you guys did that. I just didn't know it was that big. Well, we as a family did the Branson a couple times, and we stayed, Table Rock Lake. We had a cabin right on the edge one year for 4th of July and saw fireworks over the lake.
It's beautiful.
Just absolutely. So we're going to have to make a trip back.
So you most
Can you give me some special tickets?
I might know some people. You'll be hooked up. But yeah, and there's a talk going on right now about being out in the workplace, and it's funny, I'm very much an out atheist in my everyday life, but you asked me that question and I got nervous. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if somebody hears this that is going to put that all over the news, and then we're out of a job and everybody in town boycotts us, you know? But it has in the past cost us work. You know, hey, come out and see the Tweed Show, and we don't sing gospel in the show. We're probably the only only show in Branson that doesn't do gospel music.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, both, for stopping by, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing.
Everybody support Bill Ferguson. He's absolutely.
And I see Lauren Lane walking down the hall, so I got to run over and grab her. So hang on a second. Lauren.
Yes,
Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you? She's giving me that I'm pissed at you look that she does so well.
I'm really pissed at you. It's not fake.
This is not fake. What did I do this time?
You made me wait. I wait for no one.
And you were just running down the hall, according to the...
Yes, I was running. That's why I'm out of breath. Hold on.
So we're at this little party you got going here. What's this called?
Oh, it's called, Skepticon.
Now, is this your first year with this thing?
Clearly, yes. No, I'm a co-founder, and I've been an organizer for 5 years now.
An organizer for 5 years? So you're pretty organized by now.
No.
Everything is perfect and on schedule this time.
Sure it is. Yes.
We had a few speakers, well, at least one that couldn't make it. And at the last minute, you guys figured out how to Skype her in. Mm-hmm. That was amazing.
Yeah, we Skyped her in, and she it was awesome. It was funny that we had her, Skyping in from the laptop, and then we had the live stream feed. So it was sort of like meta internet thing, like people on the internet watching someone else, like projecting themselves through the internet to our event in real time. It was very awesome.
So do you have a date for Skepticon 6?
We do not have one set yet. We haven't even had time to breathe yet because we're still at the event now.
Do you think it'll be at the expo?
I think it'll be here. This is the largest venue in Springfield, and it's pretty much the only thing that we can all fit in these days.
Do we have an official number of how many people are here?
Absolutely not. Because people are in and out of the convention, it's hard to keep tabs. I've heard 1,500, I've heard 1,800, I've heard 900. I don't know. A lot of people have been here.
Maybe they should thumbprint next time.
Maybe.
That seems a little invasive.
It does, yes.
And so what happens to you tonight when this ends?
Lots of sleeping.
Are you going to come over to the plaza and drink?
Yes.
I'll buy you a drink.
Woo!
You got to be there before they close the bar, though. It closes early.
I know. But yeah, usually we all, after the event, we all meet up in the hotel lobby and just kind of relax and breathe and put our feet up.
Well, that is fantastic. So what's your favorite part so far, or are you just so busy you can't hardly focus?
Yeah, that would be the second one, because I can't even believe I'm saying words to you right now. It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. How many volunteers do you have, like 20, 30 people?
I'm not sure, but it's a lot.
And there's people around here constantly running around, and none of them get paid as much as you do. Or do they get paid the same as you?
No one gets paid. No one gets paid. That's why they're volunteers.
Are the bills paid at this point?
Yes, they are paid.
Okay. Now, what I'd like to ask the listeners to do, Skepticon, go to the website, skepticon.org.
Yes.
Donate money. Even though the bills are paid for this year, what we want is for there to be a kitty of several thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So that when the events start planning next year, you can reserve the room, you can start paying for airfare in advance. So just give as much as you can. Give it till it feels good.
Yes. I mean, every dollar you give goes directly towards the event. Spaces, speakers, travel, nothing goes to organize because we volunteer our time to make this happen.
Great. What else do you want to talk about? What do you want to promote? What's going on in your life?
Well, I'm in graduate school. That's exciting.
What are you studying?
Art.
Art. We've had this conversation before.
I think so, yes.
I thought you were a nurse.
A nurse? That's Blythe, our stage manager.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's
I think I confused that you were a nurse.
Okay.
Not a nurse.
Do I look nurse-like?
Sure.
Okay.
Get you a nice gown.
No, thanks.
What do nurses wear? Smocks, gowns?
Regular clothes.
Nurse clothes?
Nurse clothes.
Well, no, they have a name for the outfits that they wear.
With scrubs.
Scrubs. They had a show like that.
Yes, they did.
And so the speakers go how late today?
The latest one was supposed to start at 5:30, but it looks like it's going to start more like at 5:45, 6, because we're running late today.
And why are we running late today?
Because
Daryl's fault?
I'm not going to name names, but people went over their time.
I see. Did your first speaker on Saturday go over their time?
No, my first speaker on Saturday was perfect.
Except for the threat of Diet Coke and Mentos.
Oh, yes.
Just threatening to ruin the stage. That was not okay.
At the start of my talk Saturday morning, I figured we would do a little communion, and I brought Mentos for 1,000 and a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke. I set up on the stage, and Lauren jumped up out of her chair, and she does this finger gesture thing where she points at her eyes and she points at me, and she's like, "I'm keeping an eye on you." And I said, "Don't worry, I'm prepared," and I pulled out a roll of paper towel. And I thought Lauren was just going to faint.
Yes. I don't think our event insurance covers Mentos explosions.
Mentos.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to talk about before we head up?
I don't know. My brain's not exactly working anymore.
Okay. Well, if you think of something in the next hour, come back.
Okay.
And we've got a film crew coming up now, and we're going to talk to them about this movie they're making about Skepticon.
Sure.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Jimmy, how you doing?
Doing good.
And you're working with the film crew?
Yeah, we got invited here by Lauren Lane to document and sort of cover the event from beginning to end.
Okay, what kind of documentary is this going to be?
A good one, we hope. It's we're trying to. We've been working with Lauren for about 2 months now, and so it's been a lot of fun. We've been trying to catch the highs and the lows, and it's been pretty good so far.
So y'all caught every one of the speakers?
We tried to. We still have a few on our list, but we've gotten most of them, and we've gotten some good interviews out of them, one-on-one.
All right, and what's going to be the release date on this?
We're looking for about January, February, kind of, to sort of release it at a later date. But yeah, January, February, I think is when we're going for.
All right. And we're going to move back and talk to Phil. Actually, Phil's doing an interview for another podcast, so we're just going to chit chat about how things are going today. Rachel, I understand. You want to chime in here?
Sure. I just want to tell everybody this much. Skepticon is so much fun. If you've never been or if you want to be, it's a great place to come. The community is fabulous. The people are great. It's a small town, not too terribly big, but it's really nice. And a few things I want to say before we go into a clip for you guys of an interview we did yesterday, is that you should make it out. Skepticon 6 is a promise of another bigger event next year, and of course we're going to try to be here as well. So you guys that are out there listening, try to make it to Skepticon. It's amazing.
All right, we're here with Cindy Cooper from Camp Quest. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
All right, and what are y'all doing here at Skepticon?
We are running a day camp for Skepticon, and we are also promoting Camp Quest Oklahoma.
All right, interesting. And what is Camp Quest for people that don't know?
It is a secular science camp. It's all the traditional fun of camp plus the bonus of science.
All right, interesting.
And how long have you guys been doing this?
We're doing it.
We are a brand new camp. We started last November. We had our first camp in June of this year. It went really well. We were actually one of the fastest camps to set up so quickly. We had about 32 campers and about 10, I think we had about 20 volunteers.
Wonderful. And what are your plans for next year?
To make it even bigger.
Absolutely.
We actually just picked out a theme this year. Our theme for our next camp will be Rockets, Robots, and Reason.
Rockets, Robots, and Reason. Wow. Interesting topic.
Yes.
So why did you pick those?
Our goal is that we're going to teach kids how to build robots. I found some really neat activities in which you can actually build robots using hydraulics and popsicle sticks. And we're going to try and have a professor from OU come and teach children about electronics and actually building robots. And, of course, we have a mechanical engineer who can also assist in the building of robots. And then rockets, we're going to teach them about propulsion. And one of the volunteers that came last year, or hoping that he'll come again this year, but he also works with Texas. He actually worked with NASA during the Apollo mission.
Wow, wonderful.
And reason, we got to have it.
Absolutely. So what are the age ranges of the camp?
The youngest we'll accept is 8, all the way up to 16, and 16 and 17 can be either counselors in training, or they can just be regular campers. It's really up to them.
Interesting.
Do you guys have a website?
We do. It's Camp Quest Oklahoma, and now that I think about it, we actually just picked out a camp date. Ours will be June 16th to the 22nd of next year.
Okay.
And it'll be in Camp Wallahili, which is in Shoto, Oklahoma. And it's about 2 hours from Springfield. So it's not too far away.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's been excellent having you on the show, and we love what you're doing here. So.
Hi.
Bill.
Hi.
He's one of our co-hosts as well.
The roaming co-host.
For now. All right. Today we have Amy Surly Amy. What do we call you?
Hi,
Amy Davis Roth.
Amy Davis Roth. A lot of you know me as Surly Amy.
And she is.
A writer for Skeptic.
No, I meant you are Surly.
I am an artist.
Surly.
Occasionally, I have this weird reputation for being surly, but I think it's only when Phil's around. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
I'm actually really friendly, except when Phil's around. It sort of brings out the...
Amy and I are
nasty.
table buddies at conventions, and she has a great story that she won't tell you because she wants me to tell you. I can tell by the look in her eyes.
Is this about the restraining order that I had to take out?
Almost.
Table buddy?
Almost. No, it was
I think technically you're not supposed to be this close to me, right?
It's
you did
5
get the
inches.
paperwork, right?
In D.C., she made me put my table in a certain location, and then she moved, and I got to be by the, what were they, the secular pro-life?
Some call it moved, I call it escaped. But yes, unfortunately when I left the position where my table was, a pro-life group came in. Yeah. But it's really fantastic. Have you told that story about how you handled it? Because it is, in all honesty, like kidding aside, Phil did a really great thing. He, instead of sort of attacking them in any way or disagreeing with what their arguments were, he set out a box that just said on it donations for Planned Parenthood. And so every time somebody went up to the pro-life table and they said awful things about how we don't have a right to our uterus and that even rape victims should be forced to carry full term, instead of getting into arguments, the people would just look at the box, look at those people, and throw money in the box. So Phil ended up, doing this really sort of great silent protest, and he raised a bunch of money for a plan.
About $300.
Yeah, $300 just for doing nothing but putting a box out. So it's a really great lesson to be learned that you can sort of do really great things without being confrontational.
And for anyone who doesn't know Surly Amy, she makes ceramics.
Right.
And she is an artisan extraordinaire. and makes the most wonderful artwork. And what is your blog?
Well, I write for sketchcheck.org, and I also am the managing editor for madartlab.com. And Mad Art Lab is about the intersection between art, science, and skepticism. And what I do for a living is I'm an artist, and I have a business called Surly Ceramics, and I make handmade ceramic jewelry that encourages critical thinking.
And it is awesome stuff.
But I do a lot of pieces like that encourage, critical thinking. Like I have the scientific method, I do neurons, I do DNA. Yeah, a lot of things that encourage skepticism. A reproduction of Darwin's phylogenetic tree, a lot of real science-friendly stuff, and a lot of jewelry for atheists also, because I felt that there's crosses for Christians, and Jews have stars of David and things like that, but atheists didn't really have a lot to represent their viewpoint on the world, and so I make jewelry that also, represents atheism.
And looking at what you've got is really amazing artwork. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing Surly Ceramics for about 6 years, but I've been an artist for about 20 years. But the business has been, here for 6 years.
Now, I understand at some point in the past, or you're still doing it, you were raising funds to help young ladies go to conventions.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I still do that. Last year I raised $8,000, and I sent 22 women to the Amazing Meeting. This year I'm going to be raising money to send men to Women of Secularism.
Awesome.
And I'm also going to be
Can I apply?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be launching that after the holidays, and I'm also going to be sending women to the American Atheist event that's happening. So those are the two events that I've confirmed that I'm going to do for this coming year. But I may add more as time goes on. But what I do is I make jewelry, and I sell it, and I take the money from the jewelry to send people on scholarships or grants to the event.
So we can expect to see you at all these events
as
well.
Oh, absolutely.
Great,
yeah.
great.
And hopefully Phil will be my quote-unquote table buddy,
Maybe
I
for
guess.
some of them. I got to pay bills other ways. I don't have cool things to sell at the convention. But one of the things that you can do for us is give us links to all that information.
Okay, great.
And we'll mention it on future episodes, and I can do a blog post about it and promote your website.
Yeah.
And
SurlyRamics.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything else going on in the movement that's nice, positive, that you want to promote and talk about? Something you've seen somebody do? Maybe give a shout-out to somebody that's awesome?
I'm really thrilled with all of the writers on the Skeptic Network. I mean, we have a big, huge blog, and it has Mad Art Lab, it has Eureka, we've got a couple different sites that are in different languages, so I'm really thrilled with all the work that the writers are doing, and we're planning our next Skepticon, which is a great event that happens in Minnesota each year. So I'm really just happy with everyone that's around me, and I'm proud of this whole movement.
Yeah, sounds wonderful.
Great. Well, that's all we've got, unless you want anything else. Well, thank you.
I want you to go over that, paperwork that you got from the lawyers, Phil.
It's filed somewhere.
I'm pretty sure it's 50 feet that you're supposed to stay away from.
I get those daily, so I might have got lost.
All right.
Well, thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. It's nice to see you guys.
Thanks.
In all seriousness. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have Dr. Richard Carey here with us. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm an ancient historian. I'm also a philosopher, so I publish in both fields. And I talk about ancient history and ancient religion, ancient science, ancient technology, and relate it all to the skeptic movement and help people fight Christian apologetics.
Oh, that's always a good job.
Yeah.
So tell us, do you have any books out, anything like that?
Yeah, I have quite a few. I mean, my latest is Proving History, Bayes' Theorem and the Quest for the Historical Jesus, which is what I talked about today at Skepticon, which is about historical method, how to think like a historian, what is the logic of historical reasoning. And then, of course, that book talks about that in general, but also specifically applying it to the question of the existence of Jesus and why that field of studying the historical Jesus needs to reform its methods. So I talk about that. So talk about that specific issue, but you can see that as an example of the general point of how historians should think.
And the existence of Jesus is quite controversial.
It is. Well, the non-existence of Jesus claiming that is controversial.
Yes, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I keep telling people that right now the mainstream scholarly consensus is that he did exist, and you should basically side with that until someone comes up with a proper scholarly argument and it gets debated in the field, and then we can start talking about whether it's questionable. Because it's mostly been people outside academia who don't have PhDs in the field and so forth making these arguments, and they mix good arguments with bad arguments. So it's not the best way to go about doing it. And so I'm currently writing a book on the historicity of Jesus Christ, where I'm going to do that. It's going to be approachable. I'm writing it for any audience, but it's going to be thoroughly endnoted, so all the facts are there. and in a fashion that the expert scholars and academics will accept. And so therefore it'll make just using the strong arguments, not using the weak ones. And then we can start to see how they respond to that argument. Like, can you refute this argument? Are there ways to challenge it? And that'll start the debate for real. It's been dismissed largely because of the standard cognitive bias that they look at someone who's arguing for this and they say, well, there's all these weak arguments. Those are easily refuted, and in fact they're ridiculous, and therefore we can just ignore the strong arguments because obviously they must be refutable as well. And scientists have shown that this is a common fallacy that humans do, is that if you've got weak arguments around a strong argument, you assume the strong argument is weak. So what I'm doing is in my book will be just strong arguments, so to avoid that cognitive bias. And then we can start seeing how the debate pans out. And this book, Proving History, is the first volley in that, and it was actually part of the same project. And what it does show is that the methods that historians have been using up to now are invalid. They're illogical. They're not being used in a sound way, and so therefore the basis for arguing that for the historicity of Jesus doesn't even have a logically valid foundation. Now that doesn't mean it's false. It just means you have to start over. You have to start, wipe the slate clean, and let's get good methods, and now apply the good methods to the evidence, and then see what we get. And historians haven't been doing that yet. So Proving History is at least the first argument saying you need to do this. And then my next book, which will come out next year, is going to be what happens when you do it.
Okay.
And so that's how I'm going to be proceeding to argue for this. And it's because I've been convinced of it. I used to be against the idea. I used to be part of the mainstream consensus, thinking that it was ridiculous to challenge the existence of Jesus, that this had to be a crank conspiracy theory kind of thing. Only amateurs could think this. But as I got further and further into the evidence, looking at it, every piece of evidence for the historicity of Jesus, you start pulling at the threads of it, and it just completely unravels. And I was quite astonished by this, and found that there's really a really good case to be made that he didn't exist. And we can't be certain, but I think the evidence is better explained that way. But my responsibility as a scholar is to build that argument in a sound and responsible way and publish it, and that's what I'll be doing next year.
Yeah, and I know with a lot of other historical figures, it's pretty easy to determine that they existed.
Yeah, that's often, it's funny because this is one of my chapters in the book that I'm coming out with next year. It's almost entirely written. I'm almost done with it.
Wonderful.
Is pointing out that oftentimes these defenders of historicity, who are professors in the field, like they should know better, will use arguments like the existence of Jesus is known as just as good as evidence as we have for Alexander the Great, Socrates, and Tiberius, Emperor Tiberius, and so on. And these are really patently ridiculous claims. Even if you accept the historicity of Jesus, the claim that we have as much evidence for him as we do for these other figures is so false. It's massively false. And so I point that out, and I document this. It's like the evidence we have for these figures is enormous. If we had that kind of evidence for Jesus, it wouldn't be questionable at all. But there are more sober historians or more aware historians who realize that this is the case, that the evidence for Jesus is really weak. But their argument is that, well, we should assume he existed unless we have actual evidence against it, right? Because the presumption is of a historicity, so you really need to prove otherwise, which is a sounder argument, a more valid way to argue for it. But then that becomes the question, well, let's look at the evidence. Let's see, is it better explained by proposing an alternative theory of the origins of Christianity? And I think it is. But that's where the debate has to go from here on out.
And so I want to take you a little bit off the trail here.
You bet.
But I'm
you
going to
go anywhere else.
I'm going to go.
I write. This isn't my only subject. I write on many other subjects.
And that's what I heard you say. So I'm going to take it to it. If we ever found a book, not that they wrote books back then, but if we ever had a book that said Forrest existed, should we take that as truth indeed that he actually existed?
We have those books, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. See, I'm not a history buff.
Which is kind of an example of the sort of I don't want to say hypocrisy, because there are reasons to reject the historicity of Horus based on the fact that the books that claim he existed are very late and obviously very mythological and very they're not based on, you can't trace them to evidence and so on. It's a process that happened in antiquity very often. It was called euhemerization. It's named after this Greek scholar way back when, his name is Euhemerus, and he wrote this book called The Sacred Scriptures, in which he argued that Zeus was an actual historical king who lived in a particular place in a particular time, and then he was later deified. Now, he totally made this up, right? So Zeus was never a historical person.
Okay.
But this became a trend to do this, to euhemerize God. So you have like a celestial God you're worshiping, you pick a historical period, a historical place, and then write a biography about him and put him there, or her in some cases, because goddesses had this process as well. Mm-hmm. And so so this happened a lot. So the question is that what happened to Jesus? Or is it the other way around? Jesus was an ordinary man, and he became, increasingly legendized and deified and so on. And that's a question we have to look at the evidence. What is the better, between those two explanations, what is the better explanation of the evidence?
And I think it's so hard when you've gone past that for 2,000 years and try to look back and say, what's our evidence?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, especially for Jesus, because there is so little in it. It's so problematic. Like, every piece of evidence has tons of problems with it. So there's nothing straightforward in it at all.
Yeah.
It makes it a much more challenging subject than, for example, the historicity of Romulus, which is the founder of Rome. And he's clearly a mythical founder of Rome. He didn't really exist. But biographies were written about him, right? So placing him in history as if he was a historical person as if they had sources. And yet that existed. So that kind of phenomenon existed. So it's a challenge to sort of sort that out. What do we do with the evidence? How do we handle it? And my first book right now, Proving History, gives a sort of preliminary answer of like how we should approach the evidence. And my next book is going to figure out what happens when you actually do look at it.
Okay. Do you want to tell us where it's available at, and do you have a website?
I do. richardcarrier.info. And you can find all kinds of things about me, my online writings, my many books, because I've written on many other subjects. I also have book recommendations in various fields. So if you want to bone up on the origins of Christianity, I have a little section there. These are the best books to read on that. Or if you want an intro to philosophy, if you want to get started as a philosopher, I've got that.
Okay.
So various things are there. So richardcarrier.info is the place to go. All my books are available on Kindle and Amazon.
Wonderful.
And basically between those two places you can get them for sure. And, of course, you can order them for brick-and-mortar bookstores and things like that as well.
Okay.
But most people through Kindle and Amazon you can get everything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's
I
been
appreciate
wonderful
it.
talking to you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go to Phil, and Phil is here with Micah.
Thank you. It's Mika, right? Micah. Oh, my God, she got it right. I'm wrong. It's not like I know you.
No, not at all. No.
Mika, what does Mika mean, anyway?
Mika would actually be the more Hebrew pronunciation of Micah, which actually is Micha. But,
ouch, I've heard. Do that again.
Yeah.
And how did you learn to do that?
I'm Jewish.
All right. But you are helping run Skepticon.
Yes.
So does that make you a secular Jew?
I'm a secular Jew who also spends some time going to the temple, when the feeling hits me. My rabbi knows. We've talked about it. In fact, somebody tried to get in a flame war for me being not a good enough atheist because I did.
You went to temple?
Actually, that was over using iPhone apps as Sabbath candles.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
It was a stir-fry Sabbath dinner. It was real nice.
So now you're doing some volunteer work, right, for Skepticon? You're not getting paid a dime.
Oh, I wish.
What is your title? What are you doing?
My title is Program Director. I handle the speakers, so that's speaker selection, speaker seduction, recruitment.
Yes.
And then once they get here, making sure that they're happy, making sure that they have a handler, or making sure that they're getting from point A to point B, and whatever sundries come up.
Right. Now, you and I met back in the spring at the Wichita Skeptics of Oz.
Skeptics of Oz.
I'm going to get tired, man.
Very soft. We all are. Skeptics of Oz was a heck of an event. I believe it was, it may still be run by Sean Gillespie. Thank you. And it was a very solid event, and I hadn't seen you speak, and I was like, yeah.
Apparently, I was on the bubble for consideration of maybe speaking, and you were kind of the secret spy, but you sucked as a secret spy, by the way.
Oh.
You told me you were a secret spy.
Well, I wasn't doing my secret spy with, I wasn't. All right, so I tried to be a secret spy with people who are not affiliated with the organization. You had already, helped us out. You were involved. You were actually on to speak the year prior, which is why I was like, hey, if he was good enough to speak before, he's probably good enough to speak now. But I don't know him, so I'm going to check him out. And so we are, as skeptics, we find evidence.
Yeah.
And we did.
So you helped find the speakers, and have you seen any of these talks?
I saw Keith Jensen. I saw bits of the panel. I saw bits of you in a lab coat and an audience that was laughing. So presumably, I've seen probably 4% of Skepticon.
I hope that at the point you saw them laughing, they were supposed to be laughing, because that would be rather awkward.
From the way they were laughing in there and the way they were doing after the event, I'd say it actually went pretty darn well. But I wasn't in there.
I haven't seen it myself, of course, because I was on stage, but I look forward to seeing it.
You were around.
Yeah, I was there. I just didn't see it very well. We had some fun, but how's the convention going? When does it end?
It ends in, let's see, about 2 hours, actually.
Now, have you guys talked about a date for next year? Lauren wouldn't commit.
Well, we're not committing. We like to keep things pretty consistent so people kind of know when to do their events, and we try not to double book our event with another Skeptics event. But really, we're shooting for the first half of November, and then we tweak it as needed to work with speaker schedules. Because some of the speakers are really busy, desired people, and if one weekend works better than another, and that's the difference in getting the speaker that we want, we're just going to do it the other weekend. In the future, we're going to try to avoid this particular weekend because of Memorial Day. If we do it an off weekend, it's actually cheaper for people trying to attend. It's cheaper for us to book the rooms. And we like saving people money. So that's actually one of the big things with Skepticon is we try to get rid of all the barriers that get in the way between people getting educated and getting empowered.
So now, what does it cost to come to Skepticon? What's the admission fee for the convention?
It is entirely free, though you're going to be paying a little bit more by a factor of 5.
I am? I'm concerned now about that.
It's 5 times free.
5 times free?
Yeah.
Now, every time I bring this up, since you're so kind, you're not doing it, I'm going to tell the listeners to donate some freaking money.
Oh, my goodness, yes. We love money. Money makes Skepticon happen, and when we don't have it, Skepticon wouldn't. Though, to be fair, the group that runs it, not to pat ourselves on the back, we're actually really skilled. And even if we actually ran into a money crisis about a week ago, but we raised enough money, we renegotiated those expenses, and we were fine. But even if both of those had failed, there was a third plan where somebody was going to, a grown-up with their grown-up monies was like, hey, I can cover this expense and you can pay me back after the event. And that, even if that didn't work, Skepticon was, we are solvent, and we could just scale back some new initiatives. This year we did a workshop. That was new for us. It went really well. Not without the occasional hitch. Things got really hot in those rooms. But then again, there were a lot of people in those rooms, so.
Okay, we were basically in classrooms that theoretically could hold 50 people, but I don't know if they could. And the ventilation wasn't that great. And these rooms, I kid you not, the first couple sessions, because they were early on Friday, were not full. But soon they became full. You had people waiting in line to get into these rooms, people standing room only, sitting on the floors. Just amazing the number of people here. Is there any idea how many people in total have come this weekend?
We're going to be getting accurate results once this is over. I'm going to be ballparking it with 1,300 to 1,500, and that's only in the meet space. We've live streamed the event, and I haven't looked at those numbers yet, but I was told during Greta's talk we had 1,100 people tuning in to the live stream. So if you add those numbers, you get it's a pretty satisfying event to be a part of.
Now, I do know that several other conventions in the area are, I guess, inspired by this event. What do you think about that other people are kind of copying you? Are they stealing your thunder?
Actually, we love it. And one of the things that we're trying to work on in the future is we've spent so much time developing an administrative backbone, like checklists. How do you divide up labor? What tasks need to be done at what time? That we're trying to franchise Skepticon. And so everybody, we're just some collegiate nobodies who just have time, effort, and maybe, some magical talent. But I doubt that. Really, it's work, it's paying attention, and being in the right place at the right time.
Now, what are you studying here?
I'm actually working on my second master's. Still haven't finished my first.
Second master's?
Yeah.
You haven't finished the first?
Well, I need to finish up my thesis, which is my project for winter.
So you're going to be working on Skepticon for years?
I'm going to be working on Skepticon for as long as my contribution makes Skepticon better. If I become some old, bitter man with old, bitter ideas or lack thereof, then I should probably take myself from that equation. Or if I become some lecherous, horrible person in general, maybe Skepticon would be better off without me. But I'm not planning on doing either of those things because I'm going to be a young child at heart until I'm old enough that it becomes appropriate again. I like this, and this is my first year in this position. I've been a volunteer, sometimes in front scenes, sometimes behind the scenes, because I was a theist until 2 years ago.
That's a big change.
It actually wasn't such a huge change, because I was an agnostic deist. I was like, well, I hold these beliefs because they make me happy, and there's plenty of irrational beliefs that we hold that make us happy and make the world a better place. Like, I think tomorrow's going to be a good day. I don't know, but I'm going to believe that, and it gives me hope to push through. It's like, believing things just because they feel good means you're prioritizing hedonism over truth, and that's not responsible. And I think we have a responsibility to know the world, and that's a moral responsibility. So now, my hedonism is now, just instead of being quaint, it's now framed as dangerous and potentially harmful.
Now, is there any other activities or conventions you're going to in the near future, or are you just going to take a big rest? Study, maybe.
Actually, I do a whole lot. I enjoy doing the promotion for Skepticon, so I go to other events. Right now, I've just been focusing on making it through this week and weekend. But in the future, I'm going to be hitting up other events in the area. We just missed Using the Rock, so other Skepticon people were there and apparently rocking the house. I think Lauren was there. I've hit up Skeptic Vaz, Midwest Free Thought, Reason Fest. I really wanted to go to Free OK
in Logicon in Arkansas.
Logicon, I would love to hit that up. There was the big one that happens in Texas that I missed. But, I mean, that's what happens when you have grad school.
So it sounds like within about a 3 to 4 hour drive tops from here, there's now like 8 conferences, and a lot of that, quite honestly, I shit you not, is because they saw the success of this event.
It's successful, it's portable, and it can be easily implemented, and we're going to have tools on the website teaching you how to beat us at our own game.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's very helpful, and best of luck, and get some rest. Get those masters done. All right. What do we got next up?
Well, let's just grab somebody. I see somebody carrying a camera. Let's go talk to this person. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
And why are you carrying a camera around?
Because I volunteered as a photographer for Skepticon.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
So you're not getting paid to do that?
No.
All right. Are you working with the documentary crew? We talked to them a few minutes ago.
No, actually, I arrived here on Friday night, and this position actually didn't exist until I talked to the organizers the following day, and they let me get some credentials to the Facebook page, and I've been uploading ever since. So most of the photos being uploaded to Facebook and Twitter are me and another photographer who is doing the same thing.
Excellent. And is that all the photography you do is here, or do you do other photography?
Occasionally I do some other amateur photography.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And do you have anything else going on in the community that you take part in?
Well, I come from Columbia, Missouri, and I'm a part of Columbia Atheist and also University of Missouri SASHA, which is the Atheist and Freethinker Association on campus.
Okay. All right. Excellent. It was a pleasure talking to you. And have fun.
Well, we've just cornered Jen McCrate, because you're always right.
Exactly.
That was made famous by some fundy, wasn't it?
No, it's actually a saying of my dad's. That's how he would teach his students in class how to say his name, jokingly.
Jen McCrate is always right. I think that's my version of it, isn't it?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
He said McCrite is always right.
Well,
not necessarily true. But.
You have a blog.
I do.
And it's a little dormant right now because you're in school.
Yeah.
You're getting a master's doctorate?
A PhD, yeah.
That's a doctorate, right?
Yes.
In what?
So I'm studying genome sciences. I study human and primate evolution, specifically microRNA, which is just something that regulates genes and
your body and self.
And so what does one do with a doctorate in that?
That's a good question. The typical career path is, becoming a professor or a research scientist, but nowadays there are a lot of different things you can do. I do like science writing, so I might kind of go that direction, but it's still up in the air. It's not polite to ask someone what they want to do after their PhD yet.
I wouldn't do that. So, of course, you have the blog and you're taking a break. Any idea when you're coming back, or is that just a phase in your life and you're moving on to something else?
I'll definitely come back. I don't know exactly when. It's got a little busy and there's a lot of drama because of the internet. And,
the internet can occasionally have drama.
That happens. So I'm just kind of taking a little mental health break from that and kind of thinking about my new strategies returning that might make blogging a little more fun again.
Well, one of the things that I'm always the most honored by is when someone contacts me and says that I help them think or I help them get out of religion. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, and it's one of the things I'm always surprised but also warmed by it whenever I hear it. I have people who email me saying that they're an atheist now because of me. Especially people, so I ran a student group at Purdue, an atheist student group, and I've gotten emails from people who I've graduated years ago now and saying that, at the time they were a Christian and they hated my group, but seeing that group's existence started to make them think and question things, and they'll find me and email me now saying that they're an atheist because we kind of planted that seed of doubt.
Now, I don't know if you remember when we first met. It was about 3 or 4 years ago at an SSA conference in the middle of the summer. And you had just rocketed to fame with your blog, mostly because of P.Z. Myers, who we just interviewed. And you had come up with the Atheist Barbie.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I like Atheist Barbie.
Is that still a thing?
Sometimes it gets reposted around the internet, so it does pop up again. For those of us who don't know what it was, I just basically photoshopped this Barbie doll for what an atheist Barbie would look like. They always have Dr. Barbie or computer scientist Barbie or something. And it was tongue-in-cheek, like Barbie wasn't wearing any pants because of all the atheist orgies, and she had a little baby in a lunch bag and that sort of nerdy T-shirt.
And a Dawkins book or a Bible? I can't remember which one.
I think it was a Dawkins book, something like that, yeah. But I kind of like using that sense of humor in my blogging and little sarcasm.
Now, has there ever been a blog post that you made that you thought was just kind of something quick and a throwaway that you just put up to fill some space because you hadn't posted for 2 or 3 days that suddenly became a thing and it touched people?
Oh, yeah. The biggest example is what I'm kind of infamous for, Boopquake, which,
Wasn't what I had in mind.
Yeah,
okay.
but it is the example. If anyone wants to know what it is, I would Wikipedia, Boopquake, that's the short version.
You have your own Wikipedia now.
Boopquake has a Wikipedia, but I do not. I was deleted. Someone tried to make one for me, which I think is strange and amazing. But yeah, that post was a throwaway post. I wrote in 5 minutes as sort of an inside joke, and it went so viral. I was on CNN, and basically every continent had newspapers covering it.
Now that it's
extreme.
Now that it's come up, despite my intentions to not bring it up, I apologize. What the hell is it? What did you write that got so much attention?
Sure. So the short version is there was an Iranian cleric who said that immodestly dressed women cause earthquakes. And when I read that quote, I just obviously thought it was
crazy,
ridiculous. And it was silly, but I saw it as a testable hypothesis. And so I jokingly said, hey, ladies, I'm going to wear a low-cut shirt, and we'll call it a boobquake, and basically see if, this guy is right, and see if we do increase earthquakes. And it just went out of control. But it was really fun.
And you had a fan page, or how many people participated?
So when I first made this Facebook page, it was kind of for me and my friends, and I thought maybe 50 people would join, and it ended up being hundreds of thousands of people. I don't even remember anymore. Over 200,000 said they were attending Boobquake. So it did get a little crazy, but, it was fun.
Okay, well, aside from Boobquake,
yes.
something that you wrote that, maybe you thought it was good, but maybe you just put it up there that someone said it touched them, it made a difference in their life personally.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to my mind, I didn't really think it was a big deal at the time, but I have this thing called dermatillomania, where it's a type of, within the OCD spectrum, I'll pick at my skin and fingertips and lips, so it's not atheist related. And I made a post about it because I kind of saw it as something that I never saw talked about. I didn't realize this is what I had for a really long time as a sort of psychological nervous tic. And so I wrote about it, and I had so many people saying, wow,
that's me, and I never knew this was an actual thing, and that you can get treatment for it, and that I'm not just crazy or I can't control myself. And that's actually one of the things I've gotten a lot of feedback about, which, that's kind of why I don't just talk about atheism on my blog. I try to make it personal and talk about stuff like mental health and feminism, and a lot of times how it ties into atheism. So yeah, something like that really pops up, and I've also had like a lot of feminist posts too, where I write something I think is pretty straightforward because I've been exposed to a lot throughout my life, and then someone will come and say, I never thought of it that way, and that really opened my eyes. So.
That's fantastic. Now, a chance to promote yourself, if you wish. Is there something coming up, a convention you're going to, a book maybe, a movie, anything that you've got?
I wish. So like you said, my blog's a little dormant right now. I'm taking vacation. It is Blaghag. It's on freethoughtblog.com/blaghag. The next convention I'm speaking at is in early April in Minneapolis. They're doing a Skepticism and Technology conference.
You were just in Minneapolis this last year.
I am in Minneapolis for an atheist conference every spring break for the last 3 years. I have no idea. Spring break, Minneapolis. Yeah, so that'll be fun. I think PZ's speaking of that, and so is Zach Wienersmith of SMB or SMBC Comics. Yeah, so this should be fun. Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
No, that's
all right.
Thanks.
Jen McCright, who's always right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So is cranking, and after 2 hours, we have people lined up, and we're running out of time. So we got a couple real quick ones here. And first, I have Brendan, I got it right. Brendan Powell-Smith, and what's the book that you made?
I have illustrated the entire Bible in Lego bricks. The book, I have 2 books out now. They're called The Brick Bible. Last fall we came out with The Brick Bible, the Old Testament, and just last month The Brick Bible, the New Testament. And I just want to say that if you haven't seen the Book of Revelation rendered in Lego, you are missing out.
Great, thank you so much. Everybody go buy his books. They're in all the major booksellers. Just look for The Brick Bible, The Brick Testament. Next I have Adam here. He's going to talk about We Are Atheism real quick.
Yeah, we have the It Gets Better campaign for atheists. WeAreAtheism.com. You can find us at conventions, but otherwise, film something yourself. Get it up on YouTube and send it to us. You can shoot a short video encouraging other atheists to come out of the closet, let them know it's okay to be an atheist. And like the It Gets Better campaign that Dan Savage started for gay people, we know that this is helping people all over the world. Hundreds of videos up there right now, and we get emails all the time of how it's helping change people's lives. So you can help out. Richard Dawkins has a video in there, and David Silverman, and Greta Christina, and JT, and lots of Taylor, and Phil Ferguson. We just got it, so we'll get you up this week.
And where do they go to find these?
Go to WeAreAtheism.com, and there's instructions on there about the information we need to send it to us. We'll give you a page on our site and send you a link that you can spread all over and hopefully encourage people.
You also do graphics and printing, and where do we find you for that?
Absolutely. My company, Boss Visuals. You can go to bossvisuals.com/atheist. You can use just for the people listening to this podcast, we have a discount code, Godless. If you use the Godless discount code, you get 25% off printing. We do half price design for atheist groups. Just to help them look professional, you got to market atheism. It's not wrong to do so, but you want to look professional, and we help groups do that.
Adam, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to hand over the microphone to Rachel. She has got Dr. Darrell Ray. He's just come out of his talk and book signing deal. Rachel, take it over.
Okay. Well, welcome, Darrell. You are the author of Sex and God and The God Virus, right?
Right.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about those books?
Well, to begin with, The God Virus was in response to the psychology of religion, try to help people understand how people get infected with religious ideas and how those religious ideas impact their behavior in ways that are unconscious to them. And I think the metaphor, and it is a metaphor, I don't try to say that religion is really a virus, but the metaphor works really well, and people seem to understand it, seems to give them an explanation for their own behavior. Even atheists, even people who have been out of religion for a long time, still have vestiges of these behaviors. So that's what the God Virus is about. It shows how religion is infectious, and you get it from your parents mostly. So it's a sexually transmitted disease. And because of that metaphor works so well, and the response to Chapter 5 in the God Virus is so incredible, because that's sex and the God Virus. It inspired me to start doing research on the next book, Sex and God. And what I realized in the middle of this research was nobody had ever written about this. I mean, literally, you can get online, you can look in the Library of Congress, look anywhere you want. You will not find a single book written on the impact of religion on human sexuality.
except Christians. Christians are writing about sex and God all the time, but it's Christian sex, it's Catholic sex, it's Baptist sex. It has nothing to do with real sex or real human sexuality. You can read those books and they won't even mention the word vagina or penis once in the entire book. Now, what kind of book is that?
Exactly.
Yeah. So in writing this sucker, I found nobody's ever written about this. So that tells you something right there. The power of religion to hide the obvious from us.
And I actually started reading this last night, and you were talking about the fact that you were very curious when you were young, and you were looking for those answers, and you couldn't find them within the religious context.
No.
And it actually led you to, well, I don't want to say it led you to, but you discovered porn.
Yeah.
And that gave you more answers and insight.
Got more information out of a first porn book I looked at than all the books, and I bet I'd read thousands of pages. My mom took me to the library. Now, back then, you couldn't check certain books out if you were under 18, you know. So my mom takes me to the library. She checks them out. I read those books. I mean, I had a fairly liberal, open-minded mom for a religious mom. And none of those books told you diddly squat. You know, just when they're getting to the juicy stuff in those books, they say, go talk to your priest, or go talk to your minister, or go talk to your doctor. Well, crap. You know, I'm 13 years old. I want to know what this is all about. Yeah. When I found out my dad had porn in the bottom drawer, I started looking at that. And hell, you know, you get a heck of a lot more information out of a single Playboy article or you know, hustler book than you ever get out of a new sex ed book back then.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And so I haven't gotten deep into this, but I fully intend to finish it. Do you talk about the mechanics of sex, the biology of sex?
Oh, I've done a lot of biology in this. And more interesting, I found it fascinating. If you look at the biology from a bigger perspective, you know, for instance, insects. How do insects have sex? How do other primates have sex? How do we have sex? And that's one dimension. And another dimension is just how do other cultures have sex? Because we are so inundated with Western sexual ideas of sexuality, we don't realize there's other cultures that have incredibly different ways to look at sex and behave in very different ways. The Manganian culture in South Pacific, or the Hawaiian culture, or the Na culture in China, or the Hatzas culture in West Africa, or East Africa, I'm sorry. All those cultures have sexual approaches that are just mind-bogglingly different. So once you realize humans can act that much different sexually, and it's perfectly normal, it's perfectly okay, those cultures have lasted tens of thousands of years, why do we think ours is so great or so special? It's not. And there's no need for us to act like that. The Na culture, for example, they don't even have a word for husband or wife or father. There's no fathers. They don't care who's the father of the child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a 13-year-old girl or a girl, when she goes through her first period, becomes an adult. They don't have any adolescence. You go from childhood to adulthood overnight, virtually. And then the girl gets her own outside exit to the family compound. And she can invite any man or multiple men she wants into her compound. And we know this is the case, and we know it's been going on for at least 1,000 years because Marco Polo visited there, and he observed that behavior in that culture. So that tells us, you know, the religious right tells us that the nuclear family is important. The man and a woman as a father and a mother is critical. Well, that culture disproves that little thing. They've been going for thousands and thousands of years, and they don't even have a word for father or husband or wife. Marriage is not a part of that culture. There is no such thing as marriage. Now, you'd think that marriage would be, a lot of myths is that marriage is universal practice. It's not. There's cultures that do not have marriage. So once you understand that humans can behave in multiple ways, it really helps us understand who we are today, or we could be today.
And now I understand that we did not evolve from monogamy, okay? That's something I learned from biology myself. And so I think that, don't you think the constraints of the Christian religion upon people actually suppresses a lot of things and makes, I mean, porn is a huge industry.
Yeah, right.
And I think that they actually deviate some behaviors because they're so critical of normal sex.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there is a normal when it comes to sex.
There isn't. You have a hard time finding out what is. The human species has got a vast capacity for sexual behavior. I mean, just far bigger than almost any other species on the planet. We are the most sexually flexible species on the planet. The second most flexible species on the planet is probably the bonobo apes. And they are not far behind us. They may be actually ahead of us in some ways in terms of sexual flexibility. Because we know the bonobo apes, there's more female-to-female sex than there is female-to-male or male-to-male. But there's a lot of male-to-male sex. There's a lot of male-to-female. Every combination in the bonobo apes. That's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
And humans can be just as flexible. There's cultures that have all those combinations. There's no culture that has all those combinations that bonobos have, but there are cultures that have each of those combinations in abundance, so to speak. But religion comes along, and it doesn't matter whether it's Hindu religion, Islam, Buddhism. Buddhism is very patriarchal, very oppressive, or Christianity. You name any of the major Mormonism, they all want to oppress women and control women, and they want to subjugate all of us sexually and tell us what we can and can't do. And they all use this idea, all except the Hindus and the Muslims, idea of monogamy. Well, Hindus and Muslims don't believe in monogamy, obviously, but there's very few species on this entire planet that are monogamous. And humans are the least, we are not monogamous at all. And so you see these ministers jumping up and down and hollering and screaming about, you got to be monogamous, and yet then they get caught with their pants down. Yeah. With a man or a woman, sometimes both, you know. So it just shows even the most, and the God virus, they say, if the most infected people can't control their behavior, how do they expect the rest of them to? And it just shows that they can't control it because it's natural, it's human. We want sexual variety. Humans are bored silly very quickly. It takes about 4 years for humans to get bored with sex, with one partner. Mm-hmm. And so what you have to do, and I'm not advocating everybody go screw everybody. What I am advocating is you got to keep it fresh. You got to think creatively. You got to get out of the box. And what that means, you know, you spank each other once in a while, or you use a new sex toy, or you get an outside sex partner. It's up to you. You make those choices, and we should not let religions tell us that's wrong or shameful. We are in charge of our sexuality. Once you break free of that, you can really get rid of all the other religious bullshit, too. Because religion has to have sex to keep you feeling guilty and shameful. If you get rid of your own shame and your own guilt, it's hard for religion to hang on to you after that. You're in control of yourself when you're in control of your own body. And that's what sexuality, it's what secular sexuals, and that's the word I like to use now, secular sexuals are in control of their own body. And no one else is. No one tells you what you can and can't do with your body. Consensual sex is the key, you know, to adults consenting.
Yeah. And I think we need more books about this. I think we need to talk about sex and porn and its influence, because I don't think porn is a negative thing.
No.
And I think that it can be used for positive things as well.
That's why we got Utah as the #1 porn user in the nation. Because when people feel guilty about something, I mean, just think about this. If you feel guilty about something, you know, you want to quit smoking. So you stop smoking, and then you feel you got to have your cigarette. And you wait a week, and then you smoke your cigarette. And you feel guilty about it. So what do? You smoke another cigarette to get over the guilt. Mm-hmm. The same thing with alcoholism. Same thing with sex. Oh, and by the way, I do not believe in sexual addiction, period. There's no such thing. What there is guilt addiction. Religions create you as a guilt addict. You do sex, then you feel guilty. You have to go back to church to get forgiveness. But you're going to go back to sex, and you're going to do it in some way that's disapproved by your religion. Mm-hmm. And the more you're disapproved, the more you're going to think about it. So it keeps you focused on the very thing you don't want to do. Guilt does that to you. Shame does that to you. And that's the psychology of all this stuff that I'm writing about here. And this, you said there should be more books. This is literally the first book. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it's a fact. Nobody's ever written about this. And that tells us we really need to be talking about this, because religion has suppressed the obvious. It's been in front of our face for centuries. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't anybody talked about it?
I agree. And there's a lot of history that shows that humans have had varying sexual behaviors over our evolution.
Oh, yeah, right. If you go to the Manganian culture, which I write about in the book, the tradition there is the female is pretty much in charge of the sexual relationship, and the tradition is a male should be able to please the female at least 3 times a night to his orgasms. The female should get 3 orgasms for every one male. And throughout a boy or man's 20s, teens and 20s, and they start sex very early. They're 12, 13 years old. They don't care when a kid starts sex. And through their 20s, they are having sex virtually every night with someone. And even if they get married, they may still have outside sex partners with it. They do have marriage in that culture, but it's not monogamous marriage. It's not polygamous. It's not like one man owns 3 women. Mm-hmm. It's one woman has a husband, and she may have another lover or 2. there's no shame, there's no guilt in having lovers outside of the marriage relationship. Marriage relationship in that culture is designed to help raise the kids. Who the father is irrelevant. Nobody really cares that much. There's 46 cultures in the Amazon that believe in something called partable paternity. And partable paternity is the simple belief that it takes multiple men to make one healthy baby. So if you believe that, think about that. You're a primitive scientist in the Amazon. You notice the dogs, a female dog will mate with multiple males, and she has healthy babies. Well, maybe that's true of humans. So you just transfer that primitive science to yourself. You say, I need to mate with 3 males. Well, the beautiful thing about this, now the woman has had sex with 3 men, and during the time she got pregnant, she has the baby. All 3 of those men are not committed as the father of that baby. So she's got 3 men to make sure that baby survives, to feed that baby, to make sure resources come to her to make that baby grow. Of course, it's within a tight culture, village culture and all. It's a whole different construct from this monogamous thing. You have to have a male to supply resources to the female, and he has to know that his progeny, that's his progeny. Those ideas come from primitive patriarchal religions, just like the idea of partable paternity comes from primitive hunter-gatherer religions and Amazon. They're both wrong, but it shows how different the sexual behavior can be based on a single belief. The belief I need to own my property and control my property through my progeny, or I need to make sure that I have a healthy baby through the 3 men I just had sex with this last month when I got pregnant.
But the diversity is there, and that's
beautiful. It's huge diversity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So why don't you tell us where we can find these books?
You can find it at Amazon.com, or you go to IPCPress.com, and I sign any books that are ordered out of IPC Press. I can't sign them through Amazon. They don't like that.
Okay.
It's on Kindle as well and other ebook platforms, and it's coming out within the next week on Audible.com. No, I'm sorry, Sex and God is not coming out on Audible yet. God Virus comes out on Audible.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Within about a week, and then probably early next year we'll have Sex and God on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
it's been
Rachel.
wonderful talking to you.
Good.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
All right, everybody, that's going to end the show, and thank you all for joining us from Skepticon, and it's been wonderful. This has been an amazing event, and we will see you back here next week. To everybody who showed up on the show today, thank you so much.